Hi, welcome to another edition of the Portsmouth Basketball Podcast. I'm Mark.
Hello, I am Paul.
And we've got another guest today.
Hey, this is a big guest.
Big guest.
This is a big guest.
Huge guest.
Big guest. This is former Portsmouth Smugglers.
And we're going to do
player.
we're going to do him twice, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to do the like an overview of the Kestrels game,
Absolutely.
and then we're going to delve deeper into the man known as Ryan Payne.
Absolutely. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
So for those who don't know Ryan, we're talking former Solent Stars Div 1, former Portsmouth Smugglers Div 2, former Reading Rockets Div 1, GB Maxi 40s plus. And that's the short version of the list.
That is the short version.
Yeah, there's a few more stops on the way.
Excellent.
We'll get into.
You've been around a bit, haven't you?
Just a little.
So, well, let's get into this. So, Ryan, what was your take on Portsmouth Force? Let's start with like the actual venue and the atmosphere. What were your thoughts?
I thought the venue was great. We was talking a little bit of that offline. You know, only having one set of bleachers is a little bit of a drawback. It would be great if you could get more people in there, because I think the show you guys are putting on and the team, I think you could get a lot more people in there. It would be a great thing for that team and for Division 3 basketball, because you don't see many teams that have that kind of following. So yeah, I think it was great.
Paul would like to get rid of all the badminton courts, if possible.
You know what? I know Ryan's going to back me up here. I'd get rid of all the lines other than basketball lines.
Yeah. We don't have many courts like that in the UK. Obviously, in fairness to Kestrels, they've got one, but I don't know how long that's going to last for now. But
Oh, really?
yeah, well, we probably get into that a little bit more later. But obviously, the link with the university isn't as strong as it was, which is part of the reason why they dropped down from Division 1 this year. They still got access to the gym at the moment. They still practice there. They still have some of the teams playing in there, but they don't have the full support of the uni like they did, in their crazy run through Division 1 and the BBL trophy and stuff like that. So
Okay. Well, we definitely need to
we'll
go
get
into
to
that for Ryan's episode for sure.
But it is nice. I mean, Ravellin's a lovely venue, and they've done it so well. It is just strange that they didn't put a central court, or even actually have the court twisted left to right.
yeah, absolutely.
That you think you could easily just have another set of bleachers that wheel out.
Yeah. I mean, I played there the week before against one of your local league teams.
You played against the Force.
Did we play? Well, yeah, not the whole team though.
No.
There was a few extra guys at the National League game, or the friendly game. But yeah, it's a nice place to play. Nice, nice court, nice place. And yeah, you guys are doing a great job. It's the first time I've been. I'll definitely come back. So.
Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
Yeah,
That's good.
Absolutely.
The one thing is always interesting, which I think we do a little bit different, is the in-game sounds.
Yeah.
So we really try to Americanize it.
Yeah. So my partner Andrea was down on the end line, and you were playing different music, and she was trying to get involved. It's like, everybody clap your hands, and she was doing it, and she's looking around, and nobody was doing it with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. It was,
I think that was
British
to do with
fans
the
don't get
score. No,
Yeah.
we've been saying this. I think the score line contributed to that in the second half. I think
Definitely. When there's a pace of a game and things are moving, whichever team, once there's baskets flowing and the ball's moving a lot and there is some pace to it, sometimes it can be a bit of a frustrating end to end.
Yeah.
But when things are happening, there's one point that the mascot started everyone clapping, and then it was a case of, that wasn't our team that scored, but yeah, sure, everyone clap anyway, it doesn't matter.
yeah, he got the opposition clapping.
Yeah, but it still makes the atmosphere good.
Did you like the mascot?
Yeah, absolutely. He came in front of us a couple of times. He was, it was novel. You don't see many at, say, Division 3. You don't see anything like that.
Yeah, that was his first game. I think he did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
The one thing that happened last year that we did that didn't work as well this year was one thing.
What was that?
We turned the lights off. But when
Right.
we did that, it was closer to the Christmas time. So it was darker.
So it's dark and
And when I turned them off, it was still too light outside. And because it was too light, it didn't.
Oh, I just
didn't have
assumed
the
you didn't
effect.
turn it all the way down.
No, it's just because the skylights are all there and it was still all the natural light coming
yeah.
through.
There's a lot of glass, isn't there? Yeah, absolutely.
Oh right, I didn't. I just didn't. I thought you
No.
just turned it down
No,
not
no.
all the way.
Wasn't a foul
I thought
here.
it was a health and safety thing you were doing, Mark.
No, absolutely. Me? No.
Wow. So what were your thoughts on the actual game, Ryan?
I mean, I thought I was really surprised at how quickly the Force came out. They hit, they played some really nice basketball to start the game. I think they threw the first punch, and I don't think Kestrels were ready for it. To be honest, I thought they shot the ball really well, which obviously helped them. Force, I mean, and then immediately up pressure in full court, and forcing the tempo that way. And I liked the way they play. They were running dribble handoffs and really getting each other involved, and seemed to be celebrating each other when they were doing well. Maybe just particularly in the second half, Kestrels came out. They've got a few veterans that have played to a high level, and they kind of steadied the ship down and took the air out of the game for Portsmouth really, and then put their own stamp on it towards the end of the game. They had some guys that made some pretty big plays that just kind of took the air out of the game for Portsmouth. I think that's what I saw.
Mark, that is why Ryan's on the show.
Yep.
Because he says stuff like that. He just summed the game up in 1 minute perfectly.
Absolutely.
That is why he's on this show.
Absolutely. I mean, that couldn't have said it better. Just for those who are listening, but they don't maybe appreciate sometimes the differences between the standards, as you said, some of the veteran players. What does a veteran player add to a team when you are, say, down, for example? What is it that sort of veteran would add?
I mean, I particularly with the Kestrels, I look to a guy like Elliot Dadds. He's obviously been around that program for a long time, and nothing phases him. He's just, down 10, up 10. He's so even keel. And you can see him just calling people in, every break in the game, a free throw. And he's real simple stuff, getting everyone's focused on what they're supposed to be doing. And you could see it, every time. Firstly, every time he went off the court, they were a different team.
Yeah.
And then, when he came back on, there's just a level of confidence, a level of sort of being at ease on the court when he's there, because he just makes everything so easy for people. And that for me, that was the big difference in the game. You didn't have somebody that seemed to have that calming effect. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think
when particularly in the second half, when you guys were struggling to score, you needed someone to just get a good offense ran, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, that general. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I do think the Force are short of a couple of players. I think someone like Alex Grant would have made a big difference.
Absolutely, because Kestrels, particularly in the second half, they had their way in the paint.
Yeah, definitely.
And a bigger guy would have caused them some problems in there.
And Alex is he's one of the most integral players of this last season for sure. I do, and when I say this, I'm just doing is reading off the notes that I made during the game. This is just my opinion, and I just wanted to highlight before I say that I did think the best player on the court was a Portsmouth Force player, but he wasn't playing to 100%, and that's number 7, Simon Oliniyi-Perkun. He went up. I mean, I've never seen him miss 3 dunks in a game. Those are normally boom, crowd goes nuts.
Yeah,
that's normally what happens. So he wasn't 100%, but if he was at that level that we've seen before, that would have been interesting.
Oh, he's so explosive. That last step to the rim, finishing either hand.
Yeah.
The Kestrel struggle to guard him.
Yeah, explosive is the word I described the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's explosive off the dribble, off the first step, and then that last step to the rim. He's a problem.
And when you twin that up with having like Alex as the big, you go, well, where are we putting our defense?
Yeah, because he's going to break it down.
Exactly.
Break down the defense at the point of attack, and then your big guy underneath doesn't want to help because you've got someone there that can get the ball and put it in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you know what I really liked about the game? And it's not say sidetracking it, but it wasn't about everyone jacking up a 3.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds really petty, but the way the game has gone over the last decade,
You hate people just jacking up for
I
name.
can't stand it because it's just so dull to watch as a thing.
Yeah.
And that's NBA. And that filters right through. Everyone sees the Steph effect and it's gone right through. That's fine. It all has a place and it's, devastating effective. But when it got to a point when you see some local league stuff in particular, everyone gets a ball and there we go. You're like 3 steps in the logo and off it goes.
I can't stand playing, pick up basketball now and you just run, basically a third of the court. You're not moving up and down the court at all. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But now I'm an old head. I'm starting to, not embrace new basketball.
You were an old head 20 years ago.
Yeah,
like your
yeah, I
basketball
was.
IQ was always the one everyone, looked up to, for sure.
I appreciate that.
Even in the Smugglers, I always remember, I think Alex was captain of the Smugglers, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But Mick always asked your opinion. So he would say, right, guys, this is what we're going to do. Ryan, are you okay? Anything to add? And you'd go, we could try this, Mick. All right, good point. Let's go. That's what I always remember. So, yeah, even like Mick, we're talking, over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
In the game, just before we went to do something, he always asked Ryan opinion. I always remember that standing out.
And in fairness to Alex, and he's probably going to listen to this at some point maybe, and playing against him I used to hate Alex, as most people probably would confess to doing. But when he was on my team, as a captain on the team and Mick's empowering me to sort of lead, even though I'm not the captain, Alex was completely fine with that.
Yeah, he was.
So that speaks a lot to like the lack of ego that you need to have to sort of be a captain of a team. So I had a lot of time for Alex during that whole period.
Yeah.
As much as he drove me crazy at times, but yeah.
And that was a great team. I always look on that Smugglers team with just fond memories because it was a good group of players.
Yeah.
Other than myself, but it was a good group of players.
There's always one. Isn't there?
There's always one. But
You've got to get the blue badge somewhere, haven't they?
Yeah.
But some of the other notes that I'd made on the game, the Force game. Harry Bates, that was his first game. He was number 12.
Yeah, I know Harry. I used to play with his brother Matt.
Did you notice the top he was wearing in the warm up and the introduction?
I didn't.
It was our old Smugglers tops.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was the old Smuggler top. He
Nice.
wore it. He wore it for Mick. But he looked to me like he had a bit of an IQ for the game. Like he seemed to be the sensible head on the court.
Yeah.
Which was really good. So it's good to see that. The new guys, they were all right. But the big note I wrote about Portsmouth, it wasn't for a lack of effort, but it really was a run and gun. That's what I wrote, run and gun. A lot of solo efforts in the second half.
Yeah, you didn't have the commander-in-chief. There wasn't someone who was shot calling the whole thing and orchestrating it in that manner.
Yeah, I think in the first half, Portsmouth ran some really nice plays and got sort of to the last 6 seconds of the shot clock and got an open look, and they didn't really have that in the second half. Kestrels were the ones running a 20-second offense and then getting a quality look at the end of the shot clock, and that takes all the energy out of your defense as well, especially when you're trying to press. If you're not making shots and putting the team out on the baseline, you can't set your press up, and you can't, that's what happened in the first half. They were scoring, Kesh was taking the ball out on the baseline, they're able to set their press up, set up their defense. In the second half, that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
They found another gear.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, they did.
Well, I want to say, head coach for the Kestrels, Jack O'Keefe, I'd have loved to have been a fly on the wall for what he said to him at half time. Because it just looked like it just...
I spoke to him at half-time before he went in.
Oh, so it's your fault, is it?
Sorry.
So hang on.
There
Ryan
we go.
went, go on. Have a word. Sort them out.
No, I said, look, these guys shot the ball really well in the first half. I was like, you can't allow them to shoot the ball like that in the second half if you want to win this game. And then on top of that, you've walked in like you're a Division 2 team, and you're going to win.
Yeah.
And that's how they approached the first half of the game. And in the second half, it was different.
Yeah.
And I know Jack was so mad, swear words. You know, the way he stalked into the changing room, you know that they lit a fire under him in the changing room, and they came out completely different in the second half.
Look at that. I wrote against Jack. I wrote half-time question mark. What's he said? Because something changed.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea what he said.
What's
to him,
funny,
by the
Ryan,
way.
is there's a hint there of what you were saying, Paul, a while back with Mick's wording, when you said you go to Mick and say, "What am I doing wrong?" And he say, "Where are they scoring? Over there. We'll stop them doing that."
We'd
And,
simplify
it's the
it.
same, and you've just broken it down exactly that same way of like, they're shooting really well, so we need to stop them doing that.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
It's
There's the
just
whole.
really simplifying what.
It's just funny, it's that
Where are
same
they
echo
scoring
going
from?
through, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
break it down that way.
But I'd have loved to have been in the change room at halftime and listened to what Jack said. You know what? I really like that guy. I spoke to him after the game. You know, he's level-headed. You know, he was very talkative. You know what he thought. Went with the game, what went wrong with the game, and you know what? I think he's going to do well for the Kestrels.
Yeah.
I hope he does anyway.
Well, let's get Jack on. Jack, if you're listening, come on, we'll have a chat.
Do you think he'll come on?
I'll talk to him. I know he does interviews and stuff.
Amazing.
So yeah,
It's always interesting to hear how people
Jack would have
take things on and stuff. I really liked, by the way, number 15,
Ash Briggs.
the big dude.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
Dan,
I-
he was handy in there.
yeah, he was.
He was
good in the
handy
second
in there,
half.
wasn't he?
I thought he led the charge at halftime. So I reckon Jack said something at halftime. He is the one who stopped the momentum.
Yeah.
Because I think he had 2 or 3 plays inside. Bam, just pushing stuff, layups, and then Dan brought Morgan into the game.
Yeah.
He's like 6'6",
5'6", yeah.
So he then went on Ash, but then all of a sudden you had Matt Hughes.
Yeah.
He just looked consistently strong.
So Ash and Matt played together at the Itchin Academy and through
Oh,
the
okay.
junior program, so they know each other. Obviously, they've gone off in different directions since then and come back. Matt's just really clever with cutting to the basket.
He just
And-
seemed to be in the right
Yeah.
place, right time all the
He's
time.
a tough guy to guard. I've played against him in summer leagues and stuff, and he just cuts really hard to the basket. He wants the ball. He's one of those people that just finds a way of being in the right place at the right time.
But that hints on the fact that the game was really fun to, like, I won't say
Yeah.
old school to watch, but people were
Yeah.
cutting in, people were moving, the ball was going somewhere.
But
It wasn't
then-
just,
Yeah.
it's a stagnant game.
And then also, you've got to credit Ash, because there's a couple of times where he's in the post and Matt makes the cut, and a selfish player would have tried to force it themselves, but he passed, to an open Matt for a layup.
But Ash was mobile.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. He's
Yeah.
mobile. Like normally you see someone who's quite big,
Yeah.
and then when they're broad, they don't always have that pivot.
Yeah.
And he had the
He did all right. He was the one thing I just thought he killed the momentum.
Yeah, totally.
Really killed
Yeah.
it and swung it.
Yeah.
The other one, Ryan mentioned him earlier, was Elliot Dadds. He was the captain for them. I just wrote he'd led the charge and he controlled the game, and I did a little picture of a key. He just seemed to be the key for the Kestrels.
He's been the key to that team for about 6 or 7 years. He was
Yeah.
the captain all the way through their Division 1 run. He's just an absolute glue guy.
Yeah.
I can't speak highly enough about him. He played on our Hamble Hornets team last year. He's a great guy.
Oh, okay.
And just one of them guys that doesn't fill up the stat sheet, but apart from the plus minus.
Right.
He's on the court, you're a different team.
The only thing I did think of it about him, and I'm not saying this derogatory, but is he at full fitness?
No.
Okay, because I was watching him going, he is leading this charge here, but he looks like he could get a bit fitter and he can go up another gear here.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously didn't play National League basketball last year at all. The year before that, he had a foot injury, I believe.
Oh, okay, so he's been out of the game for a
yeah.
couple of years now.
So
Well, before that, you got COVID, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So
it just looked like he needed to
yeah,
get his
Absolutely.
fitness back.
absolutely.
Throwing stones in glass houses there, Paul.
And
I don't think Elliot would be Matt. He'd tell you that himself, that he's not in Division 2 National League shape right now.
yeah.
What's it like? Obviously we'll chat briefly, but in a bigger sense. But just briefly, if you are playing at that Division 1 and then Division 2 level,
Yeah.
then you're playing a Division 3 team. Do you approach it any differently?
I never did.
No.
I suppose, it's human nature to come in with an expectation that you are a better team because you're playing at a high level and that you should win the game. And it's hard to escape that, I guess.
Yep.
But for me, if I'm a Division 1 player and I'm playing against a Division 3 team, I want to prove every time that there's a reason why I'm playing Division 1 basketball or Division 2 basketball and you're in Division 3. I want to, people always looked at me and underestimated me because I'm a 5'9" skinny white kid. So I'm like, there's a reason, and I'm going to show you why.
That's who we had as a leader for the Smugglers, that attitude.
Yeah, I know.
So
It's great.
the rest of us were just going, well, hang on, jumping on that, going, hang on, guys, get your head in gear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even
That's
if you're
just
sat on the
totally
bench
right
and coming home to give Clayton a 5 minutes.
And
breather.
also, with regards to that, not all the best players play in Division 1. There are still some really quality players in the lower divisions, maybe because they're a bit older and they don't want to do the travelling, or because it's their local team and there's a group of guys that they like playing with or whatever. That all the best players don't play in Division 1. The guys playing in Division 1 are generally the ones trying to pursue a professional career of some description.
Yeah.
And not everyone's in that boat. So you can't underestimate a Division 3 team. I mean, look at the, is it Milton Keynes Lions? They've basically got a Division 1 team playing in Division 3 last year. So it's got a bunch of local guys that have all come home.
Everyone said that. And they win the playoff finals.
Yeah,
by
now they're in
60 points.
Yeah. So there are always exceptions. And you can't go into a game thinking that you're just going to run over someone because they're in a lower division.
It's like when Lakers go and visit a small market team, a Magic or something like that, and you think...
Sorry, Mark, did you say the Orlando Magic is a small market team?
Yeah, it's tiny. But when they go to those places, a lot of the time you think, I'm going to rest players. Obviously, they've changed the rule with that now. But when they do those sort of things, it's like, oh, no, everyone is still a professional. Everyone is still top tier. It's just...
You see it in the NBA all the time.
Yeah.
Those
Atlanta Hawks pulling the rug out of someone. And you think...
And also, it's so much about matchups. So much about matchups, especially in like the NBA, that they're just looking for where can we exploit a matchup. And if the worst team in the league could have a great matchup on the best team in the league, and that can throw the game. You've seen it loads of times with the 1 seed in the playoffs loses to the 8th seed, just because of the matchup. Yeah, the classic one was
this year.
Yeah, absolutely. The Heat shouldn't have been in the finals, but they just had the matchups.
It was 4-1 as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it 4-1?
And Lakers and everyone going through. Yeah. Everyone going through. It's like, why is anyone here?
And
what's going on?
Look, Mark, I just want to clarify on something. I'm pretty confident the Lakers are going to have to be going to the Orlando with a strong team as they can. Anyway, there's just going back to the Force Kestrels game. There's 2 more players for the Kestrels that I wrote notes for, and one of them definitely needs a shout out, which was Russell. I don't know how to say Garapy. Is this?
I don't know how to pronounce his surname.
Garapy.
So you probably don't know this, but he's American.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he, from what I understand anyway, he's an American. He plays at Bournemouth University, has done for a couple of years.
Oh, that's the guy. So he was the guy who could have been playing for the Force and switched to the Kestrels last minute, I'm assuming.
I don't know.
There was an American player who was going between the 2 teams, and we knew he was going to go to one of them, but
he was in Bournemouth.
Turned into
Kestrels was a lot closer than coming here.
Well, you'll love my note I wrote for him. I wrote silent but deadly.
Wow.
He just did.
Really?
I don't. And this was the person I thought of. I'm not saying he's Kobe Bryant, but I remember when I saw Kobe Bryant play once. Well, the first and only time. I just thought, he's all right. He's okay. And then I looked up and he's got 40 points. I'm like, well, hang on. I'm thinking he's okay and he's got 40 points. And it was the kind of that mentality that I thought about Russell Garapy. Like, he was just constantly chipping away. You know, wasn't the best player.
That's why
for
Tim
the
Duncan's
Kestrels,
in my top 5.
but just consistent.
Because like people did that with Duncan, they're like, "How is he doing?" And you look and go, "He's got 25 points." What? It's like, yeah, you just get it done, efficient, move on.
No highlight plays. I mean, with Russell. So again, every time the game kind of became in doubt, Portsmouth made a run. Russell seemed to make a 15-foot shot, put it in. He was really good in the first half, making cuts to the basket. He's just timely scoring, real timely scoring, doesn't make too many mistakes. He's a quality player. I think, I mean, he didn't start. I think, as the season goes on, I think he'll start for them.
Yeah.
I've got a question for both of you. What would you have done differently with each of the teams?
Oh, do you want to go first, Paul?
Yeah.
What would I done different?
Yeah.
I think.
This is the throw you under the bus question.
Well, I think
It's a good
if I was the Solent Kestrels, if I was the coach, I would have got their heads in the right space for the start of the game. That's what I would have done different if I was the Kestrels. If I was the Force, I've been saying this for weeks. Not that anyone knows this, but I've been saying it to a few guys. I've been saying the Kestrels are coming. You need to have your heads in gear, ready for them, because they are going to beat you. When you're on the ground, they're going to beat you again, and then they're going to laugh at you. They are coming. You need
did
to be
hide
bloody ready.
your distaste for the
So
Kestrels very
for the
well.
Force, even though you're up by, what was it at half time? 8, 6,
I think
something
it was
like
6
that.
at half time, yeah.
I would have been in the changing room. They are coming. They are, they are coming for that knockout blow. Get ready for it. But in fairness, Portsmouth had 8 players, and they were missing arguably one of their best players, and their other best player is not 100%.
Yeah, because Simon didn't start, right? Did Simon?
No.
He's your best. I don't remember him starting.
Didn't start.
I remember him coming off the bench.
Yeah, he did. He did come off the bench. I think he literally got back into Portsmouth like an hour before or 2 hours before the game.
And that's why.
Yeah.
But you know what? He still showed his quality for me. But sorry, I'll let Ryan answer your question. But that's I think that's how I would answer it.
That's fair.
So I suppose my answer for Portsmouth would be, depends what you were trying to achieve in the game. Because I appreciate it's a rivalry game, but it's your first pre-season game, getting ready for what's an important season.
You sound like Coach Dan now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you were, I mean, everyone wants to win every game, but there are bigger pictures. So if you're trying to just win that game, personally, I would have switched defenses a bit more. I would have thrown out some zone, maybe some combination defenses, triangle and 2, something like that. I would have just muddied the game up, try and force Kestrel to take a timeout they didn't want to take, something like that. Just try and break the momentum of the game, particularly when they made a run at you. That's what I would have done. But I respect what Dan did, because he's clearly preparing for a season. He knows how he wants to play defense. He wants to play full court. He wants to play pressure man to man, and like, we're going to live and die by that. That's, with 2 practices a week, you can't be great at 5 defenses. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So he wants to be. I assume, I've never spoken to him, but just the way that he coached that game and the way that the team plays, and we played against him as well, he wants to be really good in full court man-to-man defense, pressure. That if you're going to be successful, then you're going to have to be great at that defense, because that's your defense.
Yeah.
And he was like, let's see whether we can defend the best team we've come across with that defense. So that's how I would have dealt with Portsmouth. Kestrels, I probably would have played out of the, we saw the success of it in the second half. I probably would have try and played out of the post a little bit more in the first half. Portsmouth were in better shape. It was clear. I would have tried to slow the game down, knock out into a fast break game in the first half, and just try to get a quality inside shot every time, which I don't think Kestrel's hit a jump shot in the first half. So, you know, I would have tried to force the ball inside in the first half more than they did. That's, you know, very simple answers, I guess, but that's what I would have done.
It was a flip-flop of one play, one game, and then at half-time, and Kestrel's played their game. Yeah. And that's what happened, wasn't it?
And basketball is such a game of adjustments, and, you know, the coach and the team that makes the biggest adjustments and the best adjustments is the one that's going to win. Obviously, talent comes into it, but I actually think talent-wise, the teams are pretty evenly matched. I don't think, you know, I think Kestrel's are probably the better of the inside play, and you had the better of the perimeter play. In terms of the overall talent, I think it was pretty even. Just Kestrel's made the adjustment in the second half. Portsmouth didn't.
And talking about fast breaks, there is one guy I did want to mention, which was number 4 for the Kestrels. That's Asa Aziz. You know, I love the fact that he was sporting the 70s style headband. That was great. But he looks like an up-and-coming future player for the Kestrels, and he looks like he could be really good.
He's been on the radar since he was under 14. He was a kid that the Kestrels have known about for a long while. He's now at the Chin Academy. Really good kid. So fast, so good off the dribble. Needs to work on a jump shot a little bit. You know, he's going to have people laying off him, I think, because he's so small and he's not able to consistently knock a shot down at the moment. But if he gets a outside shot, he's going to be dynamite. Yeah. Because he can get anywhere he wants to on the court with that dribble.
He seemed to be at the pace of the Force, and what I really liked him, when he was driving in and he was literally right under the basket and bam, it was straight out to the 3-point line. Reminded me a bit like you, actually.
I think he's a bit faster than me.
It was that little nudge and coming back. But he was good. And then I suppose Patrick Elguace, his fitness levels for the Force, he's up there, isn't he?
Is that number
super
9?
Super fit. That's number. He was number 5. He was number 5. There wasn't.
Oh, is he the point guard? Number 5.
Number 5. Yeah, they're the 2 point guards, Patrick and Simon.
Yeah, but the one that predominantly brought the ball up was number 5. He's good. He was guarding me a week ago. He can defend. He's a good player, and he's quick.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't watch too much of that game, but this was handball. Mm-hmm. So they've just won Sabah Div 1.
Yep.
And they were playing, I would say, an early pre-season friendly against the Force. But it was, I think you were playing against 6 or 7 of the team, I think.
Quite a few of them, yeah.
But, I was just looking at it going, you know what? This isn't a bad test because a lot of the handball guys are ex-National League. A lot of them are, actually, I think.
Yeah, quite a few, yeah.
So it was a good test. And you know what? Steve Davison was watching the game with me, and we were agreeing that, like, you've got some handball players who we think could probably play National League still.
I mean,
when you're comparing the two teams in that game,
if you look at Mark Jackson, how old is he? 46, 47. I just shake my head.
Great passer of the ball, isn't he?
I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
I really don't know how he does it.
Well, let's get into it, the other episode.
Yeah.
We'll get him on. Get him on.
There we go. So, the Solent Kestrels, I was just trying to work out what the score is. I think they won by 18.
18,
20.
I think it was 18. That, did you hear what I said at the end of the game?
Maybe not.
I was like, I'm sure we can all agree that basketball was the winner today.
Oh no! Genuinely though, it's lovely to see that the South Coast has more than one team.
I was going to say that,
and that's football. We've said it. There's certain rivalries. I don't like football anyway, but when you have sports like rugby and other ones, and like the NBA, you can go to a game. You can sit right next to someone who's wearing a completely different jersey. Doesn't matter. You can have a little bit of banter, but there's no malice or anything like that.
Absolutely.
and everyone's there on the court or off the court because they love the game.
Yeah.
And that's the win. And so having, you know, whether it's like Solent City as it's recognised by the government, where it's, I think, from just on the edge of like Lymington sort of area, right down to past Hayling, almost near Selsey. That's like Solent City, they class it as. It's one of the most populous places in the country, believe it or not. And
there's clearly room for 2 high-level National League teams.
Yep.
You know, to have following and to, you know, to just promote basketball. That's always going to be a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and perhaps maybe more. I know it'd be nice to see Whiteley, the Whiteley Warriors. I think they're on the path. I don't know how many years they'll be away to get.
Winchester's got a National League program to a degree as well.
Yeah, they were the others. I mean, and they're pretty successful.
Yep.
But there's something I want to get into because the word that keeps coming up with Ryan constantly is program. Constantly keeps coming up.
Okay.
Because everything's about that, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You're starting them here. You're bringing them through. There's people who've played together. They're not played together. You guys have played together. Then you've played against each other. You know, but everyone all comes from these like ecosystems.
Yeah.
And it's all about the development and coming through.
Wow, it's kicking off out there.
Well, it's the city, isn't it? Welcome to city. This is like New York.
Jeez, someone must have let out that Ryan was at the Portsmouth Basketball podcast, and they're trying to like stop people from getting in the door.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Shutting the place down.
But you know what? We have been talking about this, about when we started this podcast, it was very much Portsmouth Basketball podcast about the Force and the area, and quite quickly we're turning this into we need to kind of include the wider area of, you know, Bognor, Solent, Winchester, Whiteley, and all these other clubs, and branch that out.
But when we looked at the Portsmouth one, very quickly, because we can wrap into this from the other one, but you know, a lot of the players went to Worthing when Portsmouth Basketball FC wrapped up. And Worthing Bears forms and all the stuff that goes on there. Then people were to Brighton, people were everyone, you know, everyone travels and then goes in circles, and it all stems from this, I want to say, central south coast sort of area. It's like the whole of us should all be chatting.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll get into it with people like Mick, such massive influences that they've touched everyone in those sort of areas and nationally.
Yeah. And you know what? I know I am very pro Portsmouth. You know, a lot of people support their area, but I always, like I've said on this podcast, in an ideal world, we'll be in the top league. Kestrels will be in the top league. Whiteley, Bognor will all be in the top league. Competing for that, for me, would be perfect.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And the players would love it because they wouldn't have to travel far.
Exactly. Those minibus journeys.
But they were good fun. Right. Well, anyway, so the Mick Byrne annual.
Is it
memorial.
Definitely every year now?
Yeah, I think so.
I hope so.
Yeah, I
it
think
was
so.
great.
That was a great thing to do.
And I think next year it's going to be Kestrel's ground.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, and we'll go out there.
That's really good. That's definitely worth a travel.
So I mean, Kestrel's won the first game, and they've got the cup. Really nice cup, actually. Actually, seeing the cup oddly just made me emotional when I saw it, and I just
bit of you died inside.
I couldn't look at it. It was kind of like, oh man, like, you know, just thinking of Mick and stuff. But you know, they won the game. Look forward to next year when Portsmouth Force can see if they can get it back. And
that's good to have a little to and fro.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
South Coast Derby, keep it going.
Also, on the next episode, we will have Ryan Payne returning.
Officially representing himself
this time.
The world of Ryan Payne.
It was great.
Inside the mind.
It was great to get your aspect on that game, Ryan. So
yeah, thanks for that, Ryan. Appreciate that.
There you go, Mark. There's some music.
There's some music. Well, that was the end of this episode. Tune in for the next one, where we're going to be interviewing Ryan himself, and we're going to go through that. But until then, wherever you're listening and whenever you are, thank you very much.